Tell me about the articles you brought, David, and let's debate it really quickly.
All right. Mine was from yesterday. I believe his name is LePage. I don't know if I pronounce it right. Paul LePage out of Maine. He's the governor there, and he is
The guilt?
recommending asking people to. What's that?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go for it.
He's suggesting that people in Maine carry their guns with them and shoot drug dealers because of the heroin epidemic.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
This is now. Did I read this wrong? Was this a? I don't know if this was a satirical take on it, but somewhere I read that LePage was saying that they need to bring the guillotine back for drug dealers. Was that a part of it as well?
That was in the article too. He mentioned that. he apparently has suggested that.
So this is a Republican governor from Maine who I think about a month ago. I may have the video here on my desktop somewhere. I'll try to find it. But he essentially said that there's a drug problem in Maine, and the drug problem is being caused by drug dealers who come up from New York, named Shifty, named D Money, and then at the end of it he said, and they leave, they get the white girls pregnant, and they leave.
I can give you the exact quote if you want.
Give me the exact quote. Go for it.
Incidentally, half the time they impregnate a young white girl before they leave, which is a real sad thing because we have another issue that we've got to deal with down the road.
And so now he's advocating not only is he making it a racist issue, right? Because a lot of people try to say, well, D Money's not necessarily black. Okay, maybe Shifty and the other guy, they're not necessarily black. I'll give you that. But why the emphasis on impregnating white girls, right? What sense does that actually make if you're not saying it from a racial position? And so now it's not only a racist position, but also he's advocating for people to carry their weapons, to shoot drug dealers, also to implement the guillotine. Here's the problem. There is already this vigilante mentality across America where you have a lot of rabid right-wing gun, what do they call, amosexual gun nuts, who are just waiting for the opportunity to kill somebody in a good guy versus a bad guy scenario. So when you have a person in a position of power who is abusing that position and advocating for people to carry their weapons, it's beyond problematic. But not only is this status quo for the Republican Party, this is a guy who's taken pictures with, who's been embraced by Bobby Jindal, been embraced by Chris Christie, been embraced by Mike Huckabee. I mean, he is a standard part of the Republican Party. David, I'll throw it to you.
No, I mean, they did question the race issue after he made that quote, and he claims that he was just trying to say that Maine is essentially all white. So he tried to backtrack on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it on the table as is. But the bigger thing with the guns to me is not only the vigilante on the right, but also the fact that we have so many issues going on with gun violence right now, and now you're suggesting that people just start shooting. It's kind of like the opposite of stand your ground, where you're suggesting people initiate.
Hang on one second. Yeah, you're initiating. You're creating the conflict, exactly like we saw with Trayvon Martin. That conflict was created by George Zimmerman, and they now have this impetus that is created by someone in power. So I'm mighty afraid that this, let's hope that it's just rhetoric that doesn't end in something very, very, very poorly. You have anything else on that particular article, David?
Well, a more realistic part of the quote, part of the article, in addition to the guillotine, is that he does want he wants drug dealers to face 20 years to life in prison. That's what and I think that's more of a realistic. More real quote. I don't agree with it at all, but it's you know.
and that becomes just as problematic. Well, I can't say just as problematic because killing someone versus them going to jail for 20 years to life. But definitely that's the insanity. That's the insanity that we're dealing with, man.
David? Yeah, it goes on both sides because we're calling for our jails to get to get less populous, and now he just wants to load them back up.
David, appreciate that article. Let me pass the microphone over to. All right, let's flip a coin. Who wants to go next? PJ or Solomon? Who wants to go next?
Well, first, can I comment on the article? I mean, I don't know if the direct quote was said because I'm looking at like 3 other things, but just to be sure, just to get this on like record, he's quoted as saying in the article, which I linked in the chat, everybody in Maine, we have constitutional carry, LePage said Wednesday. Load up and get rid of the drug dealers.
Wow.
That's his exact words, according to the article. I'm going to take their word for it because it's the. I mean, I don't know, but it's what else are you doing besides making the police's job that much more harder? Because all it takes is someone who's going to construe his words as, okay, now I'm deputized. I have a gun and I'm deputized. Anyone who I anyone who I perceive as a drug dealer is going to get shot before due process, before Miranda rights, before any sort of profiling. It's just, oh, that's a drug dealer. Bang, bang, bang. Like, that is, I mean, at the very least, that is going to start a lot more assault charges, because there's going to be random-ass Maine people, which is, according to the chat, 95% white. There's going to start them pointing guns at a lot of people they think are drug dealers. And that's just like, it's chaotic. It's practically anarchy. But the dude's the mayor, or is it governor?
The governor.
Yeah, governor. Thank you. He's a governor.
I mean, he's a part of the Republicans Governor Association. He is a well-known and well-respected, as far as much respect as you can give this guy, amongst Republican governors across the country. And so this is not the problem. Is partially these men and these women who take these ridiculously extreme positions. That's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is the people that they inspire to do stupid things. Right? Exactly like you said. Like, his words are going to inspire somebody to go out and be a vigilante, and they're at a minimum going to get an assault charge. Right? You're going to, at a minimum, get some of this type of unnecessary violence to take place because of the words of this governor. Just like this presidential candidate named Carly Fiorina, who was saying all of these inflammatory words towards Planned Parenthood, but then we act as though she has no responsibility in the Robert Deere shooting of the Planned Parenthood, when he left the scene saying no more baby parts. Right? So we don't have any responsibility laid at the feet of the people who incite this type of violence, yet we have this twisted world where President Obama, by his mere presence, is somehow inciting racial division, when no one can give me a single thing that he has said in his 8 years that is legitimately racially divisive, except for, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin. And then all of a sudden, President Obama is saying he's responsible for every single police shooting. That's what happened. President Obama is responsible for anything that a black person does, but Robert Deere is not laid at the feet of Carly Fiorina, and whatever's going to happen in Maine because of this of LePage will never be laid at his feet. We're not playing a balanced game. We're playing a very unbalanced game, and the reality of it is it's winning in the favor of conservatism. PJ, anything else? Solomon, you want to jump in on this article?
I'm good.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to pass it to Solomon. I see you have some chats coming up here, Solomon. So let's go to your article.